How about that? Sorry, my mic was turned down. Um, Sorry about that, James. So, good morning, everybody. Let's go for take two on this. Today we're going to learn an awesome music theory equation. Now, this equation is going to help you know any of your intervals and chords. So you guys should have sound now. Let me know if you're picking it up. Um, okay, cool. Sorry about that, guys. Um, I sometimes make a mistake, of course. Let's talk about this awesome tool that I'm going to be giving you. Now, this tool, straight up, you do need to know what intervals are. You do need to know how to build chords, etc., etc. And that you can do that through the music theory video on my channel. Now, this really cool trick I'm going to show you guys is going to help you know what those are very fast. So let's dive right in. Now, real quick before we dive in, I just want to give everybody a heads up. Starting next week, every Tuesday and Thursday are going to be dojo member only live streams because I'm starting to get more people coming in and there's a lot of stuff going on in the chat, and I want to make sure that my dojo members, those that are supporting me, have a good chance to ask me questions and I can spend some more time on them. Thanks to Larry for giving me some great suggestions on how to beef up the dojo program. So without any further ado, let's dive right into this. Most of what we're doing today is going to be here on the screen, okay? So the equation we're working with is going to be x plus y equals 7. Now I'm going to tell you what that means here in a few minutes, but first I want to just really quickly cover key signatures, kind of what they are, and how to use them. So a key signature tells you exactly what notes are in a key. So you'll see a key signature pop up like this one. You'll see F sharp and C sharp. That's a key signature for D major and B minor. Other key signatures are, like your flat key signatures. This would be a G flat key signature. And basically what happens is you are going to use these to know every single note inside of a scale very quickly. So first off, I want to bring up our order of sharps and flats. That's the very first thing that we really need to understand here. So you'll see the order of sharps and flats there on the screen. These work really easily. So first off, F, C, G, D, A, E, B. So F up to C is a fifth, C up to G is a fifth, G up to D is a fifth, D up to A is a fifth, A up to E is a fifth, and E up to B is also a fifth. So these fifths, the way that they work is when you're going through your key signature, you're going to collect notes. So when we're working in sharp key signatures, the first thing that shows up is going to be our F sharp. So in G major, we get F sharp. But after that, we actually collect all the sharps. So then we get F sharp and C sharp when we move up to D major, F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp when we move up to A major, and we collect them all the way till we get a B sharp in C sharp major. Right? Flats work the same way, but they go backwards, so they do them in fourths. So we have F major has a B flat, right? B flat major has E flat and B flat. E flat major has B flat, E flat, and A flat. A flat major goes up to D flat, and so forth. So let's take a look at how to determine what our key signatures are, and then I'm going to show you how this awesome equation is going to help you pretty much know things very quickly. So I'm bringing my window capture up again. So here we have our staff paper. Just to prove to you real quick that we have, let's see here. Sorry, I'm trying to notate this as we go. So just to prove to you real quick how this works. When you're dealing with a sharp key signature, you're going to grab the last sharp and go a half step up, and that'll be the key you're in. So this is an F sharp here. F sharp, a half step up from F sharp is G. So we are in fact in G major here. So here's our F sharp. Now, if we went to D major, we'd have two sharps, and you'll see that the last sharp here is actually C sharp. So a half step up from C sharp, of course, is D. Now, if we move forward from there, for example, to A major, you'll see that we have a G sharp. So a half step up from the G sharp is A. Now, you also need to be able to reverse engineer this. So if I were to say, hey, what notes are in, let's say, A major, right? Well, first off, you'd go to A, and then you'd go a half step down, giving you the note G. That would be the last sharp, so you'd have F sharp, C sharp, and G. So you can do this forwards and backwards. Now with flats, this works a little differently, but it's just as simple. It's going to be the second to last flat as your root, right? So here we have B flat major. Now the second to last flat is B flat. And if we need to reverse engineer this, we would say, okay, well, B flat is our second to last flat, so we'll collect these until we get one note past B. So if we were reverse engineering A flat major, we'd collect them all up to D, because A flat there is the second to last. So you're always going to collect these notes as you go, guys. You're never going to have a D flat without your E flat, right? These are just, you start with either the F or the B, and you work your way and you collect them. So when you're looking at key signatures, another important thing to know is that these two things are related, right? Our sharp key signature and our flat key signature are related. And that's where our really cool on-screen equation here comes in, right? So when you have a flat key signature, for example, this is B flat. That's going to be the Y portion of our equation. We have two flats here. Can anybody guess what gives us the other part of the equation? That's the sharp version, right? So we're at B flat major here. So if we go to B major, we're actually going to have 5 sharps, right? So 5 plus 2 equals 7. And if I put the B major key signature here, right, you're going to see that we have 5 sharps. There are 5 sharps on the screen there. So B flat major has 2 flats, and B major has 5 sharps. Now, if you know this order of fifths, this is the really cool part. So if we knew that we had 2 flats here with B flat major, right, then our B major is going to take all of those accidentals that our flat key signature didn't have. So we have F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, A sharp, F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, and A sharp, right? So whatever accidentals your flat key signature uses, it's the ones that are not used that get used in the sharp key signature. So let's run through this a couple times, and then I'm going to show you how to use this information to really quickly determine what your intervals and chords are. This is a really, really cool and quick way to do it. So real quick, I'm going to call out a sharp key signature, and then I'm going to ask you how many flats and what flats are in there. So the sharp key signature that we're going to use is E major. Okay. Now, can anybody in the chat tell me just what we're going to be using for E flat major? What kind of intervals are we going to have for E flat? Or so what kind of accidentals are we going to have for E flat major? Well, on this case, we have 4, right? 4 sharps plus how many flats equals 7? Well, that's going to be 3. So here are our 4 sharps. And then when we're looking at E flat major, we'd have the 3 flats that were not used in the sharp version. So as you can see, this is like a really cool and really fast way to know every single note inside of every single scale. Now, the next piece of information that makes this basically the coolest trick you'll ever run into is the fact that you can know all of your intervals in a major scale and use those to determine what interval or chord you're dealing with at any given time, right? So if we're dealing with an E major chord, well, then you're probably going to have all those notes that are in the E major key signature, right? E, G sharp, and B. And you'll see that G is actually sharp in the key of E. So let's run through these intervals from the root. So this is how it always works. So if we're at the note E, then what's going to happen is the next scale degree, so E up to F sharp is a major second. E up to G sharp is a major third. E up to A is a perfect fourth. E up to B, perfect fifth. E up to C sharp, major sixth. E up to D sharp, major seventh. And then E up to A, E is perfect octave, right? So here's how this works. So you know all of the intervals within the major scale. So for example, and I'm going to go ahead and take the key signature away, but we're still going to be more or less working with E for now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a couple notes on the screen. So we're going to start with E, and we're going to go up to the note C, right? So how do we know very quickly what kind of interval this is? Let's do 4 plus 3 there. This is some kind of sixth. Now you know that because if we take this note and we go up, we have, here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, right? So we're 6 notes forward, but is it a major or a minor sixth? Well, you guys go ahead and try and tell me down in the chat, but the first thing that I can tell you is if we're going root to sixth while using the E major key signature, guys, which by the way has these sharps in it, then we know our E up to C sharp is a major sixth. Well, this is E up to C. This is not E up to C sharp. This is a half step smaller than the major sixth. Therefore, it's minor. Right? So if you know all of the intervals in your major scale, well, then you at least know every interval based off of those sets of intervals. So, right, every minor interval is a half step smaller than its major, right? So a minor sixth is a half step smaller than a major sixth. A minor third is a half step smaller than a major third. So if we went E to G sharp, what kind of interval would we have there? Well, we happen to know our key signature, F, C, G, and D are sharp, and our root up to the G sharp is what's called a major third, because we know that right now, right? Sorry, I'm fumbling with the graphics a little bit. Doing the live graphics all by myself is fun, but I'm still learning how to do it. So we have our root, and then up to the third is a major third. So we know that we have a major third here on the screen. Therefore, if this was a G natural, it would be a minor third, the minor third, right? So that's a really cool way to know all this stuff. Now, what if we went E flat up to G, right? Let's take the natural away from there. Well, this is really nice because we have the 4 notes up here already that, we know are sharp. Well, in the flat version, we have these 3, right? So we have B flat, E flat, and A flat. Well, we know that E flat up to G, because G does belong to that, right? So if B flat, E flat, and A flat are the only accidentals, then everything else is natural, which means G in that key is natural, which gives us a major third, right? And if we wanted to make it minor, we'll just lower it by a half step to G flat. So E flat to G flat would be a minor third, which is a kind of interval that, I think a lot of people would find difficult to identify. So this, as you can see, is a really, really great way to learn your intervals, but also your chords, right? So if we wanted to make, for example, an E chord, right? So let me just go ahead and move that. We have E, and then we're going to add a G and a B. What kind of E chord is this? Well, the thing that we need to know is that if all the notes in that chord belong to the key signature of the root. So in this case, here's our key signature. We have F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, and D sharp. We know G is sharp and E major. Well, this G is natural, right? So it's been lowered by a half step. Anytime you want to make a chord major or minor from major, you lower that middle note. So from E major, we would have a G sharp. That would be our E major chord. And then E minor, we'd lower that middle note by a half step. And if we wanted E diminished, we'd lower that top note by a half step, right? So you're able to tell what this chord is based off of knowing the key signature. And we could even go to augmented. So if we want to make an augmented chord out of any major chord, we raise that top note. The B would be sharp here. So here's our E major, and then our E minor, and then our E diminished. Right? So let's go ahead and quiz this for a few minutes, guys. I'm going to walk you through one more example. I want you guys to try and put your answers in the chat as we go. So here we have a root of A. We have A, C sharp, and E. Well, first off, we'd want to think, okay, what's a half step down from A? G sharp. So there's our three accidentals there. The three accidentals, F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp. And you'll see that, yes, C sharp does belong to A major, so we do have an A major chord. Now, if we wanted to make it in any other chord, here would be our A augmented, right? We'd sharp that top one. Or A minor, we'd have A, C, and E. Or A diminished, we'd have A, C, and E flat. Right? So you can get to and from all kinds of chords very, 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 very quickly by knowing these key signatures. Right? And let's say we wanted to go to A flat. So if we have 3 sharps in A major, then we'd have 4 flats in A flat major, which means we'll grab these flats here. And if we had A flat major, well, we need to look at our key signature, right? How do we build an A flat major? Well, we have A is flat, and so is E, right? Those are both flat in this key. So A, C, E flat, those are the notes that belong to the key signature. So there's our A flat major chord. Now let's say we wanted to make an augmented chord. Well, then we'd take this top note and raise it by a half step. Or let's say we wanted a minor chord, then we'd have a C flat, right? And if we wanted a diminished chord, here we go, guys. This is where we get into mega theory fun. Where is my double flat sign? Then we'd have a E double flat up top there, right? A lot of people think that's so weird to have a double flat. And yeah, it is until you understand theoretically, maybe you need an A flat diminished chord for some sort of purpose. So let's go through another exercise here. I'm going to pick G, and this time I'm going to add in a B flat here, all right? And I want you guys to tell me what kind of chord that is. Is it major or is it minor? And think about that key signature. Think about the key signature. Do we have a major or a minor chord here? Let me know down in the chat. Also, guys, heads up, I'm going to be putting up my rhythm exercise book here on my store very, very shortly. So that'll be great. It's going to be 100 exercises that are introduced one at a time. And we'll be doing those on screen. Okay, guys, so let's think through this real quick. G major, if we go a half step down from G, we get F. So F is our last sharp in that key signature, meaning F sharp is the only sharp in that key signature, right? That also means that all of these notes are in G flat major, right? But let's just stick with the G major because that's our actual root that we're dealing with. So F is the only sharp. Well, if we look here, B flat does not belong to that key signature. It's actually a half step below G major. B would be in the key signature, not B flat. So this is a G minor. And of course, if we wanted to make it G diminished, we'd add that flat. And if we wanted to make this a G augmented, we'd take that D and make it sharp up there. So mentally speaking, you can be very, very quick with your intervals and chords using this. And it's helpful to be very, very quick. So coming up on this channel, guys, I'm going to be going through all kinds of fretboard memorization live. So next week, I'm going to do a 2-hour live stream, or maybe 3, on just memorizing the notes of the fretboard. But then we're going to move into intervals after that. And one of the things that I think a lot of YouTube teachers are doing right now that I do not agree with is they put all the emphasis on knowing your intervals with your fingers and your chords with your fingers. And that's good. We're going to be doing a lot of that. But you still have to know it in here to really make a lot of use out of it. You know, it's the equivalent of having an enormous vocabulary and not knowing how to use it. Have you ever spoken to somebody that drops in a word that's very big, but it's just not in the right place? And you think, oh, what the hell? Somebody just said, I need to go capitulate my car. It just doesn't make sense, right? So in music, you have to know your vocabulary, but you also need to know where to place it and why. And that's not necessarily a fretboard thing, right? That's actually just a music thing. So with this trick, we're going to be using this quite a lot in my upcoming live streams on, what kind of interval is this, and then how do we play it on the guitar? You don't want to go the other way around. How do we play this on the guitar? Then what kind of interval is it? Because it just doesn't really work, and it kind of puts the cart before the horse in a way. It makes the guitar the thing that determines the music, when it's your brain that should be the thing that determines the music, and your ear. So I'm going to take a look for questions, guys. Sorry about the beginning of the live stream. I didn't realize that my microphone was turned down. I'm getting new. I'm new at live streams. I'm getting better at it, but you're going to have some mistakes because I'm a human being. So it looks like I don't have too many questions. I'm going to give you guys a couple announcements. Try and get your questions in while I'm doing these announcements. Prabin asked, how long will I teach us? So I'm going to teach you guys as long as I possibly can. Like, I like this live streaming stuff. I'm really trying to get people onto my membership website. So the more people that get on there and pay monthly, the more that I can put towards this. I think this is super fun. And it's not only helpful to you guys, it's helpful to me too, because I live music and I just love it. And every time I talk about it, I understand it just a little bit better. So this is just as much for me as it is for you guys. So I'm going to be doing this for a very long time. Every day it'll be about a half hour, unless it's my fretboard memorization series. That's going to be somewhere between 2 to 3 hours at a time, because it takes a lot of time to really let that stuff percolate. It's also very helpful for my students that come study in person. So guys, you can check out musicandguitarlessons.com for the dojo membership plans. The $2 a month membership plan will get you access to the private live streams that start next week. So the public live streams are Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. The private ones are Tuesday and Thursday. Thanks for the super chat, James. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate it. So if you join that website, you'll get access to my PDFs. I have some other exciting announcements coming up for the website. So, the $5 plan, we're going to be doing something extra special. The $10 plan is going to get you access to a Saturday Google Hangout once a month, where you guys can just sit down and interface with me directly. Nerfiana asks if I have any social media. Not just YouTube. I try to stay off of social media because it eats up all my practice time. I used to be on Facebook, but then I got into too many political arguments and stuff and decided, hey, you know what? Let's just practice instead of be on Facebook. So if you want to reach me at all, Nerfiana, I have an area in my members site where you can leave a question in the forum, or you can also email me at ross@musicandguitarlessons.com. But the only social media that I partake in is YouTube here, because it's all music based and I feel like it's a positive platform. But all the Twitters and the Facebook and all that stuff, I just find it to be very negative. So I don't partake in it any longer. Well, thank you, Prof. And that's very nice. That's very nice. You're very welcome. The reason I'm doing this at the end of the day, guys, is I want to spread the education around. When I first started studying this stuff, I was very lucky to find a good teacher. And it wasn't cheap. It cost me about $300 a month to study with this guy. His name's Ben Cantu. A lot of the stuff I'm talking about now comes from the fact that he shone a light on it. So I want to turn around and give that back to the world. So if you guys want to at all support me, check out musicandguitarlessons.com or musicandguitarlessons.shop to buy any of my books. And again, the coolest thing that I'm doing right now, I think, is the $25 a month membership. You guys are going to get one of my books that I write in the mail a month. I want to write at least one music book a month for the next however long I can manage it. The next one coming out is my rhythm clapping book. I've got a couple dojo heroes at the $25 a month level now, which is awesome. I'd like to get more people in there. And then also as a dojo hero at the $25 a month level, you'll be getting a large discount on private lessons if you want to sit down and chat with me one-on-one via Skype. So guys, this was a good lesson today. I'm really glad that I had such an attendance. Let me know if you have any questions. You can send those questions to ross@musicandguitarlessons.com. You can also join the dojo and post a question in the forum. And as always, happy practice.